YouTube.com/CSR Wrestling. That's where you can find some more video content from us in addition to the great stuff on WrestleZone. You can also go to CSRWrestling.com. Blogs, audio podcasts, the videos, all kinds of great stuff.
Your WZ Daily, Brian Golish this past Thursday.
Had to talk a little bit Sting.
A little bit
Sting and Flair podcast, which is awesome.
Made his WZ Daily debut. Josh Eisenberg, Brian Golish, Justin LeBar here with you. Guys, TLC, let's take half the card right now. Let's start off with the United States title match of Alberto Del Rio, who is now Zeb Colterless, up against Jack Swagger. Josh?
Oh, man, I'm going to say...
The excitement is oozing.
Jack Swagger, yeah. Everybody's going to put their money on Swagger winning. A guy who hasn't been used in 6 months. It's just frustrating. Del Rio's easily going to win. Not to reiterate what we've said over the past couple of months, look how far the United States Championship has fallen when the star power of John Cena is not taking that title. It just shows you when you see Del Rio face R-Truth multiple times, you see him with Swagger, it doesn't make sense to me when you had an opportunity to give this title and Del Rio a huge push up, and it's just the same thing.
I look at this two ways. I see part one, yes, obviously Del Rio keeps the title, but something in the back of my mind, if Del Rio is now Swagger or Zeb Colterless, does he go back with Jack Swagger? Was it a setup from the whole time? As much as I'd like to see a swerve, I still think Del Rio retains. And the only reason why Del Rio would not retain is to get that title out of the League of Nations.
Yeah.
You know, Josh and I talked earlier already in the weekend with the superlatives, what's going to steal the show, blood, biggest spot. This might be the dump on the show, and I'm a Del Rio fan. The guy's in phenomenal shape. He's going to take on Brock Lesnar at some live events, which is going to be exciting to see. Because I've always said Del Rio's, as tough is just as tough as Lesnar is. This is going to be disappointing. Del Rio's going to win. Zeb Colter's going to come out with Jack Swagger. Swagger's going to lose, and Swagger and Colter are back to where they were 2 years ago. No progress has been made. It's going to be super frustrating. We probably won't see Swagger again until maybe if he gets to take one of the 30 spots to the Rumble. Real quick before we move off this match, do we see a John Cena? Because it's for the U.S. title. It's in Boston. They certainly need to be called. They're calling Cena.
And I think the in Boston thing is irrelevant because he gets booed. It's not like Kurt Angle in Pittsburgh. No, you know what I mean? But it's John Cena in Boston's kind of.
But that's been the rumor that when he first went away 2 months ago that he was going to return in Boston.
If he does, what happens there?
I don't know. That's why I'm curious.
I don't think you have him on TLC. I think you just you have him on Raw the next night. Maybe Del Rio talks about an open challenge and Cena answers it, and he might not win it. But you got to bring him back. I just don't think TLC is the right way to go, especially since you're going to have multiple Raws being taped.
Swagger, Cena. Why don't you bring Kurt Angle back? Now you have a U.S. stable to go against the League of Nations.
Yeah, I think Kurt Angle's donezo when it comes to wrestling. But
well, two divas that I think are going to be putting on a really great wrestling match are going to be Charlotte and Paige. WWE Divas Championship, no stipulation, straight up one-on-one Divas action. Who do you got?
It's going to be Charlotte. We've seen too much of a development of her character. She has Dad next to her, and she's really getting that push right now. And again, Paige, a toss-up, heel face, and Charlotte's finally making that push to be the dirtiest diva in the game. Charlotte.
More agitation here for me. Charlotte's going to retain, but you watch that segment. Who's the babyface?
No idea.
Charlotte's cutting heel promo right there with her dad, the dirtiest player, all this stuff, and then here comes Paige, but Paige slaps Rick, and then as Charlotte attacks Paige powders out like a heel would. I don't know who the babyface is.
There's no babyface.
There's no babyface.
There's none.
Paige, everybody loves Paige, but she's already approaching. She's in Big Show territory. She's been with the company on the main roster for 2 years, and the flippity-floppiness of her heel face. And the bad thing is, she can do either one pretty well. She can be a fan favorite, or she can have that little bit crazy edge to her. So I don't know why we're flip-flopping.
Well, I think she can be like an AJ Lee. I think you have her as a face, a heel, a face, a heel. AJ Lee was a great example of blurring that line. What am I supposed to do? It just doesn't help whenever you have Charlotte with Ric Flair, who is a wildly world-renowned popular feature in anything, sports, entertainment. You have him with his daughter. So you're thinking, we want her to be like him in a wrestling environment, but everybody knows that everybody loves Ric Flair, so it's difficult to try to separate that.
To separate heel and face for me, for Paige, it's simple. If she's a face, she only says, "This is my house" one time. If she's a heel, it gets obnoxious when she screams it 55 times during a match. Yes, Paige, this is your house!
I do feel that her as a heel, I'm seeing more of her cleavage, so maybe I'll say heel.
I think it's a new bra. I don't know what she invested in that, but that thing is good.
She gets more pale.
If that's possible.
Why isn't she in the League of Nations?
We don't need anybody else in the League of Nations. No. We have too many stables.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. The big one. Your boy, Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, Team ECW, the Dudley Boys challenging the Wyatt family.
I hope the Wyatts. I really hope the Wyatts. You could just put this whole you can put every pay-per-view episode on repeat of CSR. I hope the Wyatts. I actually do. Where I was really pessimistic and you kind of figure, okay, Taker and Kane are going to win. I do feel much stronger. The Wyatts will get the victory here. It's been a nice back and forth. They got Team ECW got a pin on Eric Rowan in the opening Chaos match on Raw. Strowman gets a victory over Dreamer. I think with this being an elimination, that's a great way to, the ECW guys will get a little bit of a shine. But mostly what it really should be a case of where maybe Rowan gets eliminated because he's kind of like the sacrificial lamb, but the rest of the Wyatts should not get eliminated at all.
They should dominate.
They should, not dominate in the sense of a squash, but just dominate to where, the match will be hopefully 10, 15 minutes of, as we talked about, innovative, just crazy violence. But it should be Strowman, Harper, and Wyatt should not get eliminated.
Who's the last one?
For Team ECW?
Yeah, because I think we're all in agreement that Team Wyatt family is going to win this match.
What's going? I wouldn't be. I think Rhino's not a bad call, and I simply say Rhino only because he seems to have some fluidness of working with NXT.
He's fresh.
So that. If I had to pick a last person, maybe Rhino.
And I know it's not a face thing to happen. It's more of a heel thing. But I'd like to continue to see more guys come out. Bring an RVD out. Bring a Spike Dudley out. And show the Wyatts overcoming Team ECW. It's extreme. Anything goes.
I think it'd be nice. It'd be a nice piece to have maybe Rob Van Dam appear in the spot of Rhino. But I understand why they're doing it with Rhino. He has exposure with NXT. It's simple. It's going to be pretty much a one-off. You're not going to have this extend to February, January. So this is a one-off for them. This is something to get to bridge the gap. Again, I don't like it. It's going to be fun to watch because I like seeing people put through tables. But at the end of the day, you're just taking such a far step down for the Wyatt family. Like you said, Justin, they got to cruise through and maybe not dominate. How do you disagree?
Well, again, you and I touched on this last week. The crowd, whether you like it or not, the crowd constantly chants ECW. That still means something. The Dudley Boys still. Let's put it this way: the Dudley Boys, Rhino, and Dreamer, and RVD should be in this class too. Out of the ECW originals that are still around, they are in the best of shape. They're the most respectful. They're not strung out on drugs. The point being, they're in great physical shape. They still have credibility to the audience. So again, this is not obviously beating Taker and Kane would have been a much bigger deal on the resume, but beating these guys is still credibility.
Could you see?
There are a lot of other teams or makeshift factions that WWE could have put together to go up against the Wyatts that would not have been as interesting to most of the crowd, maybe not you, to most of the crowd, and not been as credible.
Is there anyone that could come back, former ECW, and screw Team ECW? Not join the Wyatt family, but just kind of.
I don't think there's any.
Yeah,
there'll be no reason. There'll be no payoff that I can see because RVD is the only other guy that is again.
Taz floating around.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I think at the end of the day,
he's on the horn of the Eisenberg.
Right. At the end of the day, my biggest problem I think with this entire thing is no matter you love it or hate it, Wyatt still aren't. You can say it's a credible win. I can say it's not. We're just going to agree to disagree on that because I don't think it's a credible win.
A win's a
Whenever
win.
Is it though?
For them at this point,
I
a
don't think
win's
a win's
a
a
win.
at all. I think
Win's a win.
Well, we've seen Bray win.
If you want to see social media melt down, watch the Wyatts lose. Or at least you'll see CSR social media meltdown probably.
I'll quit. I'll quit everything if the
social media or CSR.
I'll quit whatever. I'll quit it. I'll throw in the towel. I'm just going to be over it.
Vince, how much can I pay you?
There we go. We've had that experiment before. Justin?
Chairshot Reality, WrestleZone.com. Make sure you follow everybody on Twitter. It'll be a lively Sunday night, I'm sure, for social media. And again, we still have one more video to come. Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/CSR Wrestling. Extra content. You can leave more comments. I know sometimes that's a little bit friendlier of a video player for some of you on your mobile devices. So get in touch with everything. CSR Wrestling, YouTube, and more. The three of us sticking right here. We got to talk about the WWE World Heavyweight title as well as the Intercontinental title still to come.